Hello and welcome to another episode of Solo Inter Podcast. It's been a while since we recorded a podcast and we had exams and work and stuff and we couldn't record earlier, but now we are back. And as we started the podcast, we haven't won the previous match now, and which is a sad thing because we actually beat Juve in the league, and this was kind of a surprise. And with me, with as usual, it's Manish and Parmeshwar. So Manish, coming to you first. Do you think like Lukaku's absence and Hakimi's absence made a difference, or do you think it would have been a result where you would have nicked it anyway?
Yes, thank you, Gautam. And first of all, like to happy to be back in this podcast. It's been really quite some time, and now let's get going. Yes, so talking about this match, Gautam. Yes, Lukaku's absence and Hakimi. They both these two are the main attacking threats for us. The main attacking, like focal points. If you have to judge how Inter plays, the first thing to stop Lukaku, second thing is to stop Hakimi. Lukaku with his back at goal holds up play is very vital in this match. If you can check in this match, what happened is Sanchez, he's tried that role in the first goal. He tried to hold up the ball for some time, then he released Varela for the assist. So the thing is, it's very fundamental to Conte's play, the person holding up the ball. So we miss Lukaku, yes, definitely. And I'm thinking if Lukaku and Hakimi were there, definitely will be a different result. Saying that this match, the match which we beat Juventus, we beat them fair and square. Like we outplayed them in the first in the league match. So this time the pressure was on Pirlo, and he changed quite a bit tactics. He went for a 4-3-3 formation, and pretty much a lot of pressure was there on Brozovic. It was completely, I think, man marked by I think Kulchevsky was the player man marking Brozovic. Brozovic had an awful game. He couldn't put in a couple of passes together, and that we could see that the whole because Brozovic is very vital to our play. He's the one distributing the ball. He had one of the worst games I've seen in Inter this season. So I think Pirlo has got one over Conte, if you ask me. But saying that the first half was very disappointing. We scored on the first shot and we had, but after that we should have piled up the pressure. But we sat back and invited Juventus to attack, and that's a very very risky ploy. You could see Quadrado was playing pretty much as a winger. He was a right back, but playing as a winger. And it was again two foolish errors which led to the goal. Ashley Young, I cannot deny that's a clear penalty. If you watch the slow motion, he really pulls him out. Uh, it's been a really painful two mistakes, and Juventus capitalized on that. And second thing, the back pass with Devray, but Devray, it's I think three people at fault. One is Devray, Bastoni, and Handanovic. I don't know who's more to blame, but Devray back pass was quite short, and then Bastoni couldn't react much, and Handanovic was in no man's land. So all in all, it was a bit chaotic. Two mistakes, and that Juventus punished us for that. But saying that second half we came back, we had a chances. We should have taken our chances much more. Juventus, we didn't capitalize on Juventus mistakes. Alexis Sanchez had a lot of chances, but yet again, he's again like they say, he's toothless in attack. He just cannot score. I think over last 3 years, the stats say he just scored 11 goals in the last 3 years. And I think the Conte's post-match review said that Alexis has to take his chances. We cannot, you know, what to say. Like it's just a bad day for us, and Juventus actually deserves this two goals. I feel overall the result. But saying that it's not over yet, but it's a difficult task from here to qualify to the final. Gotham.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, like to build on what Manish said, we had like the perfect start with Lautaro scoring the first goal, and we should have built on that. And Brozovic having a bad game and Barella trying hard. And even with Sanchez, we can see that he's assisting. Like he was instrumental in our first goal, but he misses his chances. So then you have a striker who just gives assists, not even that much, but cannot score. So how do you think this affects? Like, what do you think went wrong after the first goal? Like when we had the perfect start, but couldn't capitalize in it at all.
Yeah, first of all, glad to be back. It's been quite some time. But yeah, Gautam, to answer your question, the thing is, see, that's where the dilemma comes in, right? I guess it sort of links to the whole Dzeko Alexis negotiation or rumor. Whereas whether we should have done it or not, because we can't have both. I mean, I guess everyone would like to have Dzeko as an additional player, so he can rotate with Lukaku, but we had to either have Alexis or Dzeko. And if you give Alexis away, your trade, making of a trade off in your plan B, you don't have a plan B anymore. But as far as Alexis is concerned, see, I personally feel for the way we play for of the plan B he brings, the way he assists and brings the energy into the game, he is much more important. Otherwise, you've seen it, teams figure us out. You take the Udinese match as an example. They sat deep and, they did that and then they completely shut us out. So that's with Alexis. But with that being said, the chance that he had to score, especially the block by Demiral, I mean, that was like pretty much an open net. Had he put some more power in it, that was a goal. So scoring is an issue with Alexis. And as far as what went wrong after our first goal is just simple as what Manish said. It's two silly moments, individual errors which are all avoidable. Like, I mean, I don't understand if, since Manish brought this up as to who's to blame more. In my opinion, I don't want to sound too critical of Handanovic, but the thing is, as everyone has been pointing this out, the guy never leaves his line when we need him to. And yesterday, there was absolutely no need to leave the line. I think Bastoni had it under control. He would have cleared it had his mind not been partially on Handanovic, because I think at the same time he was thinking, Handanovic is coming out. So what do I do? But had Handanovic stayed there, he would have probably just put it in row Z. So I have a feeling he's to blame for the most part of it. It's not that Bastoni isn't to blame, or even De Vrij for that matter. But yeah, and after that, I don't understand what Young was doing. Like, if like it was a cross that Cuadrado didn't even reach, like there was no need to pull him. It was going over him. Like, why are you pulling Cuadrado? And we all know Cuadrado, he's a player everyone like. I'm assuming all Inter East detest. Like, he's not the most likable of players. I mean, we all remember that incident with Perisic years ago where choked him and all that. But why is Young giving a player like Cuadrado, who's known for his theatrics and everything, a chance to get a penalty? And unfortunately, it was a clear penalty. He's pulling him, bringing him down. So that's it. Because as Manish said, in the second half, we were the better team. For most of the match, we were the better side. We didn't let them come through, and we ourselves couldn't create clear-cut chances. But at least you could see the effort going in. And again, coming back to Alexis, I felt he was overdoing a lot of things, Gautam. Like, you could see that the urgency to hold on to the ball, which he can't, and constantly dropping deep for, like, in positions where he's not supposed to be. Apart from that first goal where he held the ball well, I don't think he could do anything else. So it's a dilemma. I don't know what can be done. Like, it's hard. And as Manish said, Brozovic, if Brozovic is out of the game, what do you do? Because when we play out of the back, the first outlet to receive the pass is Brozovic. It's because of his body feints, how he can move, draw fouls. And Kulusevski, to Manish's point, was the one man marking him. And Kulusevski is tall, he has the speed to run. He got the better of Brozovic. So I feel personally also, and I don't want to blame Conte. I don't think he's to blame in this loss. I just felt that he could have made a few substitutions earlier. Maybe you should have subbed in Eriksen way before than he did. Sensi, the same for Sensi. And as weird as it might sound, I think Pinamonti could have probably had a difference if he was brought on sooner, because we all know he can win a couple of aerial duels here and there. And I think he should have come on way sooner. But yeah, that's my take on it. I think there's no reason to lose hope, because I think we showed signs that we can still take it to Juventus. Like, we weren't bad, like we weren't outplayed, but I think we can take it to them. But then again, as Manish said, it's a mountain to climb. There's 2 goals we need at least. It's not going to be easy. So yeah, that's my take on the match.
Yeah, so Manish, like what Parmeshwar said, we weren't bad. It wasn't like Juve outplayed us. And the second less we can say that, oh, if we play well, we can beat them. We weren't bad. We were good, and it was individual errors like Young making the mistake and De Vrij out of character made a mistake. If you want to put it on someone like Handanovic or De Vrij, anything, but it was 2 individual errors and they punished us. But for most of the match, we were in control and we were the better team. So would that make it tough in the second leg as well? Because it wasn't like we put in a bad performance. So what extra do we need to do now in the second leg? Because we need to score 2 goals.
See, Gautam, if you ask me, it's as simple as that. We must take our chances. It's not that complicated. We are creating chances. It's not that we aren't creating. And same way like Brozovic was marked out of the game, we put some pressure on Bentancur in the second half, and you could see that a couple of times he lost possession, and we had like a couple of one-on-one chances. But the only thing is, Alexis has lost his goal threat. I've been saying this all season. He just cannot score. He cannot score from penalty. He cannot score an open net. So I don't know what more. Forget me. I think even Conte's losing patience on him now. He's very good holding up the ball, creating, but like Parmeshwar pointed out, he's overdoing stuff. We just need to score. So in this type second leg, again, I think if Conte waits on the counter, I don't know what formation Conte is going to take. I hope Conte doesn't sit back and absorb the pressure. That'd be really foolish. We need 2 goals. And saying that Juventus scored 2 away goals. So no matter if we win 1-0 or we draw the game, you're out. So we need to win by +2 goals. So that's no point sitting. It's like from the first minute, it's all out attack. With Hakimi and Lukaku, I'm glad these 2 guys are back and definitely make a difference. We might use certain experience. Arthur Vidal, although he might sound like a crazy tackling, what do you say, tough mentality midfielder, but his presence is actually very important for us, like to win these balls. So we might be missing him. We'll be missing him and Sanchez for the second leg. So now who's going to replace Arthur Vidal? That comes a very big question now. Will Conte give chance to Ericsson, or will Conte bring in Gagliardini? We don't know. That only Conte can answer that. So saying that, Gautam, this game is very open. It's not done and dusted like many people say. Oh, it's impossible. But I think it's very possible with against this Juventus. Maybe a few years back, no. I think a few years back we had a very interesting Coppa Italia match where we lost the first leg 3-0, then we came back at San Siro 3-3, and then we just lost in penalties. So it's never over in these type matches. And I'm sure Inter will try its all. And provided Lukaku has to be leader on the pitch. So mistakes happen. They scored with our 2 mistakes. That's a only bright side. It's not like they outplayed us, like you said. It's 2 individual errors which they punished us. We should not make any stupid mistakes, starting with Handanovic. And second thing, we must take our chances. These are key to win this second leg.
Yeah. So Parmeshwar, so back to you for the second leg. With Lukaku and Hakimi back, do you think like we'll be at least 50% better than what we are right now? Because with Young out and Hakimi taking his place, it will be obviously it's an upgrade, like way higher upgrade. And Lukaku coming in for Sanchez. I mean, Lukaku, the thing with him is like he pulls defenders away. You need 2 defenders to mark him. And that gives Lautaro space as well. And Lautaro will be confident now since he has scored already. So you think his presence, Lukaku's presence up front will be way more vital. And there's a chance that we might win even 3-1 or 4-1.
I mean, it goes to say that without Lukaku, we struggle a lot because before the match, I was checking a few stats, and there was a stat by Opta Paulo wherein they said that without Lukaku, we have only won 40% of our matches. That's less than half, right? So that just goes to show how important he is because he's built himself in such a way that he can almost win almost every aerial duel. He can hold the ball very well. Those you've seen this season, those quick layoffs once he holds the ball. There are players ready to run off him, Hakimi from the right, and at times whoever beat Perisic, Young off the left, or anyone close to him. Lukaku is just too important for this team. And as you said, once Hakimi is back, because who else will make those darting runs, those pacey runs? Who else will take it to, Alex Sandro? Because Alex Sandro is not the best defensively. It is Hakimi. And since Young has been off it, you can either play Perisic or Darmian on the left, or in that case, that's still a better option. So, Lukaku, without saying it goes that he's the most important. And we saw the Serie A match. Of course, it was Chiellini defending there, not De Ligt. But the way he took it to Chiellini, Chiellini may not be the prime Chiellini, but he can still take it to you at times. He's still that imposing defender, and Lukaku was turning, twisting him around. And if I had to pick a duel in our favor, it's not Alexis versus De Ligt, because I'm pretty sure De Ligt will completely mark him out. It's Lukaku versus De Ligt, because De Ligt is really strong off the ball. Yesterday also, if you notice one thing, when Lautaro scored that goal, who was the one pressing Lautaro into, falling over? It was De Ligt.
Yeah.
I personally feel we were a bit lucky with that goal because Buffon spilled it. No credit taken away from Barella and the build-up, Vidal's through ball and everything. Not taking credit away, but who was the one pressing Lautaro Martinez? It was De Ligt. So I feel, without Lukaku, it's like we pretty much won't be able to come back because if you need 2 goals, it is him. He is the one who does most of the dirty work off the ball. He's the one who brings others into play. Conte keeps on saying we create, n number of chances. How does it happen? Because Lukaku makes himself available in such positions that we can do so for, in most of our games. And if I have to come to how we need to set up, in the next game, because personally, as Manish, pointed out, who do we replace Vidal with? And also to point out, Alexis won't be available too. So what do we do? You know, this combination that we had tried in the earlier part of the season, which was Eriksen, Barella, Brozovic, it didn't work out quite well in the 3-4-1-2. But now, as we've been watching Eriksen over the last few games, he looks more lively. He's pressing, he's passing, and that free kick against Milan seems to have built his confidence up. I personally feel it has to go back to that midfield trio of Barella, Brozovic, Eriksen, wherein again Eriksen can now, since he is meant to play in a register role as per Conte, can try him out, and Barella can do the dirty work that Vidal does. So tactically, yeah, I think we need to go back to that midfield, and I don't think playing Gagliardini in this match helps, because you see Juventus, they have midfielders like McKennie, who was good yesterday. Rabiot stepped up his game. Like in the Serie A match, he wasn't that great. So, Juventus are quality through and through, right? In the 11, you bring someone off the bench, it's quality. You sub someone out, it's quality. We can't say the same, right? I mean, we have to rely on Kolarov, Gagliardini at times. So it's not going to be easy, Gotham, but I think if the fact that Lukaku and Hakimi will be back is going to be a major boost. And just to cap off on that, before, I just hope that the FIGC doesn't end up banning him before the match, because of course there's a whole investigation going around about that whole Ibra Lukaku situation, and I don't think we should touch upon that because it's long gone. But just hoping that he doesn't get banned before it, or just doesn't get banned in that matter, because that's going to completely ruin our season, right? So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, just staying with you, Parmeshwar. One interesting thought I had was when the Perlo met Conte the first time in the league. That was the first time he actually faced off against Conte, and he lost the match. But Conte is so stubborn. Do you think Perlo actually figured him out within the first leg of this thing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Conte is not going to change his tactics. This is what he's going to do, and now I know how to counter it." Do you think that was a factor?
That's actually a pretty interesting question. I think to an extent, yes, because the minute change that Manish also pointed out earlier, that Kulusevski man marking Brozovic in the Serie A match, it was Morata who started. Morata, Ronaldo, they don't really combine much unless they have proper service, because they're pretty much similar. And Ronaldo's dribbling is not the same as it was when he was in his prime. So, he did figure that chink out, that Kulusevski being that tall figure, the player who drives up and down, he can take it to Brozovic. But, Pirlo to me tactically still seems a bit naive, in my opinion, because yesterday also I didn't think he should have subbed in Chiellini, because you never know. Chiellini does makes a few error, here and there. I don't think he's completely figured out Conte, because if you see Gotham, we always play the 3-5-2. Our approach is pretty much the same in every match. Okay, it's either whom we choose to counter against or whom we don't. But the thing is, we can say the same about n number of coaches. Let's say Pioli, he could have figured us out, but he didn't exactly. He lost the derby. We can say the same about let's say Napoli, Gattuso. They've not beaten us since then. They've lost to us n number, like maybe 3 times in total, if I'm not wrong. Including last season. So it's the effectiveness of our approach. Conte is a person who believes that if you adopt the same approach, you can get the result. It's not easy to stop us in that sense, because that we create a lot of chances. It's about our conversion. That's the issue. Lautaro misses here and there. Everyone misses here and there. So I don't think he's figured Conte out completely, or even if he has, it's not easy to stop him. The only thing now Conte, I feel, has to look at is the fact that he needs to understand, because Juventus have a lot of versatile players. You can have Chiesa one day playing up front, or one day he could be playing in a back three as a right wing back, or even a left wing back. You could have Kulusevski playing in midfield too. So it's a lot of things. So it's up to Conte to now figure out, with Vidal not being there, how do I, tackle this problem of Kulusevski man marking Brozovic? How do I do it? How do I take Kulusevski out of the game? Now that Lukaku is back, maybe you could assign Lukaku to do something similar, because Lukaku does put in the work. You never know. So it's not over yet, Gotham, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle. I think there's going to be a lot of different things going into this match.
Yeah. So Manish, like even Parmeshwar pointed it out, wherein like the transfer between Sanchez and Dzeko, like that was supposed to happen, that didn't happen. And now Conte's comments again post match, even though he has got his players, I mean that thing will never go away with Conte. I mean that will always be there. Plus now there has been rumors about Inter selling, like Sunning wants to sell to BC partners. That fell through. That's not going to happen. So with the current financial climate, do you think this squad is good enough to compete the next year? Like what should, I mean, will Conte stay? Because obviously his targets won't be met by the club. What do you think the next step should be? Or do you think Conte should just mellow down a bit?
So Gotham, right now, I think the whole club is going to a financial circus because we're not able to sign anybody, not able to sell anybody, you're not able to pay off any salaries. I think salaries are due for quite a bit. So that all indirectly affects the team's morale. Although from the outside it doesn't seem, but inside a lot of things seem broken. Because at one point you would see Zhang in every other match, and Zhang was present with the team, and that helped the team to focus. And the president being by the side, I think everybody wants the president to be by the side, but now the president itself is missing. He's nowhere to be seen. His press conference stopped. So altogether, it's again a very confusing situations where we should have sold a couple of players we couldn't sell, and we could have signed a couple of players we couldn't sign. So right now, it's best we just focus till season gets over and then see what happens because I think we were close to selling the club to BC partners and then they backed off or we backed off. I don't know what exactly happened. But right now, I hope the team doesn't focus on that, focus on the pitch because on the pitch is what matters. And we have a strong squad. Right now, I believe we are stronger than AC Milan. And if you check Juventus match over the both matches which we played against Juventus, we were neck to neck. I won't say like they outplayed us like last year, they completely outplayed us. This year, I think we could see the level up, step up in quality. And if we had buried those chances, I'm sure we should have won both the matches. So right now, I would think best situation for all of us, the fans, the club, is just wait till the season gets over. Let's not get too much hyper. The media how it likes to attack Inter. And any small thing they just blow up, and this balances everybody. So I hope they don't wind up Conti, because you ask Conti one stupid questions, and Conti is going to open up a can of worms, they say. So I hope Conti remains calm. I hope Marotta puts him on check, saying that don't worry, everything's under control. Till we figure out till the end of season what happens, because I don't think it's going to continue for long. If you're not able to sign players, you're not able to sell players. It seems like already seen the news like Inter will forcefully sell Hakimi or put him on the market because we don't have the funds to pay off him. So right now it's just all talks. So I just hope this season we win something and that can silence off the media and cool down everything. That's my take on them. But saying that we're really a bad situation right now financially. We're in a very bad situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you said that this season hope we win something. And would it be like if we lose to Juve, would we just say like, oh, it was Coppa Italia, we don't care about it, we are closer to winning the league, so let's concentrate on that? Or will winning Coppa Italia be a boost and winning a league and Coppa Italia, that's a dream. That's a dream this year. But if that happens, or if we lose out on the league and win the Italia, do you think that's a successful season then, Manish?
See, Gautam, I would say anything that helps us win a silverware. We haven't won for last 10 years now. So it doesn't matter winning the Copa, winning the Serie, we have to win something. And if we check over the last 10 years, I think we are in the best place right now. We are just like 2 points off the first place. And it's not out yet. The Coppa Italia is still very much open game, considering there are no fans around. So I don't think the home and away plays a big importance now. So we should take the game to Juventus. And not only that, beating Juventus, irrespective of the league match, irrespective of the cup match or just a friendly match, anytime beating Juventus, it boosts up the morale for the fans and for the club overall in general. So this game, I hope Conte takes it really serious. I'm sure he's taking it serious because the players which we used over the last two matches against Milan and Juventus are like first 11 players. And he rested a couple of on the league match when we played the last league match, he rested a couple of players and he made six changes to this Juventus game. So saying that we must beat Juventus, and then definitely we'll see a lot of like you said, positivity around the club. Losing this match again might open up a can of worms, and Conte will start blaming the management, Conte will start blaming the transfers, and then some old point will come about salaries and stuff. So the best way is winning. Winning solves all the problems. And we have to start winning starting with the next match against Juventus and then AC Milan, I think, end of this month. So this whole February month is quite challenging. It's a testing period for all of us, for the club, for the fans, for the players, everybody. Hopefully, we can sail this through peacefully and with positive results, Gotham. But yes, definitely winning a silverware is really important this season.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, to you also the same question, like the financial situation of the club right now and Conte being Conte. Plus, also, do you think like we were going to sell Ericsson, but now apparently he's climbed up the ladder in Conte's books to be a starter or at least start every alternate match, and he's not on the transfer list anymore. Like, what is your take on all this circus that's happening in Jan? I mean, we are performing on the pitch, and looks like this year the circus is off the pitch with us.
See, Gautam, I have a bit of a different take as to how, firstly, with regard to his minor tantrum, if you will, yesterday. The thing is, I don't think he's wrong to, I don't know if you want to call it a jab, but the thing is, what I feel, because this whole circus, if you say so, has been going on for quite some time, yeah, not just January before that. And there have been rumors, Suning is broke and everything. See, the first thing is that, just to clarify Suning's financial situations, as we all know that the Chinese government has imposed certain laws which,
Yeah.
prevents expenditure or investment abroad on it, especially, sporting investment. That's one. And with that being said, Suning has most of its business in retail and real estate, which took a dip in during the pandemic. So they have been affected financially. That is there. But it's just that they can't invest because the Chinese government have tied their hands. They just can't do anything at this moment. So there is no point of blaming them. I was reading the whole financial report by the well-known Swiss Ramble the other day, of Inter's 1920 financial accounts. We've spent over 650 million Suning have on the club. So you can't really blame them for this one rough patch. That's one. Coming back to Conte, I personally feel he's actually led the team very well during this time, because if you see, the results in January have been there. This is the month where we collapse every time. We lose to, I remember last season we drew to Cagliari out of nowhere, and out of form Cagliari. We'll drop points to anyone possible. But this time around, we've beaten Juventus, we've beaten AC Milan. We've done a decent job and Udinese is not an easy team to play. So we did drop points to them. But apart from that, we have won. And the thing is, if you notice his press conferences before, he's always said, there are things going on outside the club, but I want my team to focus. I want them to focus on the pitch. And with the results that you see, they have been listening to him. He has got a grip over the group. He's always close to his players and the rest of the staff. He posts those weekly pictures of paying respects, or more like paying tribute to people working with him at the club. If you see his Instagram, he has respect for those people. He cares about the club that way. He's actually, I feel, being a leader and keeping it together in these times. Even if he threw a tantrum yesterday, he has done a pretty good job with that. Usually if you see Inter, they collapse during these times. The Icardi saga and everything before, it all went to shit in previous seasons. But this time I feel, Conte has kept it together. So I'm not going to blame him over one tantrum he's thrown yesterday, because it could have been much worse from the start of January, I feel, because we had Juventus to play, we had Milan to play. He could have thrown a tantrum then and said, we are not signing anyone. I want the board to sign players. He could have said, I'm not ready. So it could have been worse, but I feel he's handled the situation pretty well. And coming to Ericsson quickly, the thing is, we all know we can't we can't buy unless we sell. And there were no buyers for Ericsson. We wanted everyone to cover the full salary, which is not possible. So he had to use Ericsson, and on top of that, Ericsson has responded well, to his credit. Even in that Fiorentina match where he played 120 minutes, he did a decent job. But since then, he's just improving slowly. So I think Ericsson is someone who will have to be kept, as the Brozovic backup, in Conte's own words. And I don't know what's going to happen in the summer Mercato. None of us do, because as Manish also said, it's a mess. Because as you all pointed out, that BC partners are out of it, but I've been reading reports as per some websites that BC Partners' first offer of 880 million was rejected, and they will present an offer soon. So there are just too many mixed reports going on, way too many, to actually have a certain answer to it. We don't know what will happen. As Manish said, we just have to wait till the end of the season. And personally, as fans, we need to take it game by game, because this is going to continue, Gautam. This is going to continue each and every week, regardless of our win against Juventus. If we go through to the final, this will continue. The Hakimi news, if you see the Corriere dello Sport one, the last, I think 2 weeks ago, Real Madrid had to come out and defend us. I don't know why we can't do it for ourselves. So this circus is going to continue for the rest of the season. Yesterday it was David Ornstein, the reliable David Ornstein, saying that we might have to sell Hakimi, but it may not be true. I mean, at the end of the day, how do you expect a London-based outlet to know of our finances completely, right? So it's all a mess. This is going to continue regardless of what we do. Even if we win the Scudetto, we win the Coppa Italia, this circus, unfortunately, in my opinion, will continue.
So do you think like the media witch hunt is true against us?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I couldn't agree more, because how it's like we're being targeted every week. Like, how does this, how does Hakimi get being brought up every time in the news? His agent has clearly said he's happy at Inter. He doesn't want to leave. Why is there news about him wanting to move to the Premier League? It makes no sense. It's Hakimi. Real Madrid saying they have good relations with Inter. The first installment is due on 30th March. Still, people choose to believe the fact that we haven't paid, Real Madrid, and they're chasing us on a daily basis. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, they just, I don't know. There has to be some sort of an agenda, right? I mean, it has to be something like that, because, I mean, knowingly, I mean, most of it is controlled by Agnelli, be it or not. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult season. I mean, I just, if any Interisti is listening to this, that we have to this season gear up for most of the off the pitch stuff, because it's going to be a crazy ride. It already is. It's going to get worse, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and coming to the next match, like Manish said, this is going to be a crucial month for us, and Fiorentina are up next. What are your thoughts on how we should line up? What should be the tactics, and will we play a strong 11 in this game? Looking at the fixtures that we have this month.
So, Gautam, I think most likely Vidal and Sanchez are going to start, considering they will miss the Coppa Italia match. So it's going to be Sanchez and Lukaku pretty much starting the game, with Lautaro getting some rest. And yes, you might see again Eriksen in the register role, and so that Brozovic. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to rest Brozovic, because we saw that Brozovic was playing every 3 days. He was consistent. The moment we gave him a little break, and he seemed a little off place against Juventus. So that Conte might consider that also. It's not necessarily giving rest to players helps them. Sometimes giving rest to players, it destabilizes them. The momentum they lose. So I'm sure Conte is going to use the strongest 11 possible, but with Lautaro given some rest.
Yeah, but
Yes, so that
Brozovic is moody anyway, right? You never know which Brozovic you're going to get, whether the half asleep one or the superstar one.
no, like you were asking one question to Parmeshwar about Pirlo figuring out Conte.
Yeah.
Actually, Inter, if you check in 3 steps, one thing is Lukaku to stop Lukaku, second is stop Hakimi, and third point is stop Brozovic. If these 3 things are controlled, Inter's attacks are completely neutralized. So out of that, it's quite simple. Hakimi is out, Lukaku out. So the only the creator was Brozovic. So Pirlo smartly put a man marking him, and you could see that. But saying that Brozovic pretty much had a very good season till date, until the last match. So it's now a refreshing change bringing Eriksen to the Regista. So Eriksen's no more going to play the behind the strikers. He's going to sit back just ahead of the defense. So Brozovic and Eriksen, can these two play together? We don't know. So I'm not sure on that. But definitely Conte is going to use his strongest 11, saying that Fiorentina not much of a good form too. In the last, I think, 10 matches, they just won twice. So we must take the game to Fiorentina. We just beat them in Coppa Italia, so that boost must be there. And we should not take this game lightly, because end of the day, the league is the main focus. Saying that Coppa Italia is also important, yes, but definitely we cannot rely on resting players and stuff. We have to put our strongest 11. We have to get this 3 points, and we have to put pressure on AC Milan. Saying that Fiorentina is no pushover team. They're surprised with Ribery. You could see what happened. Ribery each time plays against us, he seems unstoppable. So I hope Conte puts a check on him, and we definitely have to get this 3 points in this match, Gautam.
So Parmeshwar, now coming to you, like, what do you think about the Fiorentina match? They are not in that great form, and we'll have Lukaku back and Hakimi back as well. So how do you think this will pan out with Conte strategy?
So, Gotham, first and foremost, my biggest worry in this match is something that is tied with the upcoming Lazio and Milan match is the fact that Brozovic, Barella, and Bastoni are all on 4 yellow cards. And it's a big worry because so far, whenever we've played the Milan derby, we've had to play Kolarov. The first time Bastoni had COVID, the second time Conte played Kolarov voluntarily, and he was pretty much the one who was at error for both the goals.
Yeah, he
The
was
first one, the penalty.
useless. Useless.
Yeah, and that's my worry. If Bastoni does get booked against Fiorentina, or I would rather have him booked against Fiorentina and not against Lazio than miss him against Milan, because Zlatan has destroyed Kolarov twice, like we've seen it. And that's my biggest worry to begin with. And when if I have to come to Fiorentina, I mean, yes, as Manish pointed out, Vidal and Alexis won't be there against Juve. So I think Vidal and Alexis should start this match because you need Lautaro to rest effectively. You need him at his best because he has to play the 90 minutes. And same goes for Brozovic, Eriksson, whoever it may be. See, Fiorentina this season have been really, I don't want to use the word, but it's pathetic. Like, you expect Fiorentina to be in the top 10 at least. With the squad they have, you have players like Sofian Amrabat, you have Ribery, who tears us apart every time he plays against us when he's fit, at least. You have you have Castrovilli. Before that, you had Chiesa before he left. So it is tough to play them. As weird as it sounds, they sit 11th on the table and they are one of the worst teams defensively. They've already conceded 31 goals and only scored 21. The thing with Fiorentina is, Gotham, is that coaching has been their main issue. They've never hired a good coach to back that team. You have quality players in there, decent players in there. And I remember when Kostup came on our podcast before, he is a Fiorentina admirer himself. They were sitting just above the relegation zone. It's slightly gotten better. And of course, ex-players tend to haunt us. There's Cristiano Beraghi, who's been one of their best players this season. He has, if I'm not wrong, 4 assists. Yeah, he has 4 assists. And they play a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3, and they're pretty much similar. They play out wide, and you've seen Ribery in that first game of the season, if you remember. Ribery completely destroyed D'Ambrosio. He pretty much ripped us apart. And you have currently their main striker Dusan Vlahovic on form. He's had 7 goals. He's scoring every game, and he's pretty much a tall striker, target man sort of thing, but also with good dribbling skills. I don't know if you remember last season where he completely ripped Skriniar apart at the Frankie. And Frankie is always Artemio Frankie is always a difficult place to go to. So I'm glad there are no fans at least. But yeah, Fiorentina. But coming to how we can exploit them, they're not one of the best teams defensively. They sit back in a 5-4-1, and it's not like a structured defense like we have. If when we sit back, you've noticed that we really close the spaces. They're very disjoint in that. There's no communication, and two big absentees for them going into the match. Castrovilli is suspended, and he's one of their main creators, and Nikola Milenkovic, whom we are always linked with, a player we have been linked with to replace Skriniar and whatnot. He's also suspended, so that's a big boost for us. And yeah, they concede a lot, and going forward, they have a tendency to overload the box with a lot of players, so that, and since we are good at counter attacking, we can really take it to them. I think this is a match. I don't want to sound overconfident or anything, but we have to win this. This is, if two of their best players, Castrovilli and Milenkovic, are going to be suspended, there's no excuse to not win this. And as Gotham, you've said, this month is the most difficult. Like, you have Lazio, you have AC Milan in the league. So you can't drop points before you play AC Milan technically, because you have to, get the head-to-head over them as well. So this no way we can drop points here. We just can't. It's not acceptable. And I think a few rotations here can still do us good, given the fact that they're not in form, and they're just not that good enough to cause us a threat. But yeah, I mean, barring Ribery and Biragi, I'm not worried about anyone. But I think we have to win this match. There's no excuse to not win this. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that's running in my head is like it shouldn't be a parallel like what happened with Shakhtar. I mean, we beat them 5-0 and then we just, I mean, we couldn't do anything against them in the Champions League. And now we have beaten Fiorentina in Coppa Italia, and hopefully it doesn't repeat here, wherein like they know what we are capable of, and now they're way more compact and way more clinical. than we'll be. And do you think, would you be surprised if Young actually started ahead of Hakimi?
That's a good take, Gautam, because yeah, I don't take it for granted that Fiorentina will be as weak as the last time. I understand that Prandelli is a decent coach. I mean, if he could thrash Juventus at the Allianz Stadium out of nowhere, 3-0, you never know. But yeah, I mean, this is a game. You have to. The thing is, with this season, you have to keep that next fixture in mind, right? Because it's like literally 3-4 days. It's not a week until February at least, once Champions League and Europa League resume. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I would actually start as weird as it sounds. I would start Young, or even Young as right wing back, and Perisic as probably as left wing back, because as Manish pointed out, Coppa Italia is important. It is a trophy at the end of the day. It's almost a decade now we won't be winning a trophy unless we win the Coppa Italia, and it's not an insignificant trophy. And beating Juventus is always a big plus point, because, as Conte keeps saying, we measure ourselves against the best, and Juventus are still the benchmark. It's not us. It's AC Milan are great, but they're not the benchmark. They've not been setting it for the last 9 years. It's Juventus, right? So I would make rotations in this match. I would start Ashley Young, if like it or not. I would start Ashley Young. I would start Perisic. I would even probably start Gagliardini in midfield. I don't know, because my main focus is the Coppa Italia match, and maybe just so that this game can be easy. I don't know, but I would probably instruct Brozovic to get booked in here. I know it sounds strange, because I would rather have Brozovic for AC Milan than Lazio, because Lazio are pretty inconsistent. Not underestimating them or anything, because I feel AC Milan are much better. So yeah, I think Conte here needs to micromanage better. He needs to try and get certain players, as weird as it sounds, suspended and rotate effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, Manish, to you as well, the similar question. Like the matches are coming thick and fast now, and rotation, we have seen what's going to happen. Like you have Young, who is so error prone. Having him in the starting lineup is a risk, but it's a risk we have to take. Or do you think like it's this month, all of you are like, you can't even tell all of you are getting paid because they are not paid right now. Like, but you're professionals, like suck it up and play the 3 matches, or do you want to rotate because the fatigue will set in? It's intense matches that's going to come up.
So Gautam, if you ask me, I think this whole month, February, is where everybody should step up. It's not advisable right now to rest a lot of players, because we're going in the stretch of important matches. Like you just mentioned previously, like Brozovic, he's a most consistent player. He's played very well this season. Unless we gave him rest last week, we gave him a rest last week, and you could see that he lost his momentum. So saying that rest at this point, I would not suggest. Yes, if you're playing against a small opposition, yes, like Crotone or smaller teams, we can bring in Ranocchia, we can bring in a lot of players. But right now, we must start our strongest 11. Hakimi is definitely has to start, because he missed the match against Juventus, and now resting him this game, he'll give him like 2 matches consistently with not playing. So I would suggest Conti goes on the attack and not to rest and players, and not take Fiorentina for granted. Like Parmeshwar pointed out, they beat Juventus at Juventus Stadium. Also, but the important point is they're missing two of their main star men, Castrovilli and Milinkovic are the main players. But saying that, you can never count Biragi from playing off game. You cannot count Ribery, and Vlahovic it's a form of his life. So we must not depend or rest. Okay, rest the main players and let the second string squad play. No, I would suggest the whole February we must play with the strongest 11. And yes, there will come easy matches will come in where we can slowly bring in Ranocchia, we can bring in Gagliardini, in players like Vecino would play an important hand to us in those time matches. But this is a very important month for us, and we have to play a strongest 11.
So staying with you, Manish, uh, who do you think will be the starting 11 against Fiorentina?
So saying that, like I said, Sanchez and Arthur Vidal are out. So I'm guessing most likely they're missing the Juventus match. So definitely most likely going to start tomorrow's match. Lukaku and Sanchez to start up front. The midfield, Hakimi is going to start in the right wing. It's going to be Barella, Brozovic, and I'm guessing Gagliardini. And the left will be Perisic. And the back three to remain same: Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, and Handanovic. That's my starting 11. I think by bringing Hakimi in the right and left, Perisic will bring more attacking threat to us, and we must take the game to Fiorentina. So Conte might try balancing out, bringing Gagliardini to have more control over the midfield. So that's my take, which I think pretty much Conte is going to use this formation.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, do you agree with Manish's starting 11, or would you make any changes if you were the coach?
I agree pretty much. Although I feel this is a game Ericsson should start because it depends. It depends. I feel this is a game since, to Manish's point, although I did say we should beat Fiorentina and all, but it could turn out the other way. It could be much more tougher, even albeit their absentees, they might sit deeper, they might make it more difficult, although they are a bit disjoint. I feel we need someone to unlock those spaces, and I feel this is a game Ericsson should start because he's not going to start against Juventus. Let's be real. And if he's being tried as a regista, as a vice regista to Brozovic, he needs to have that game time. Yeah, he needs to have constant minutes and more of it. So I feel he should start maybe along with Gagliardini, and I would rest Barella because that kid deserves a rest. I mean, he's just playing every game. He just can't catch a break. And again, it's a dilemma because I really think Bastoni would be needed much more against AC Milan than Lazio. Again, not underestimating Lazio, but so I guess I would even start Kolarov again. I know this is going to sound really strange, but yeah, those are the changes I would make. I mean, apart from I think Bastoni, I would start Kolarov and I would play Gagliardini and Ericsson in there and bench Barella, and yeah, I would play Vidal without a doubt because he's not going to be there against Juventus, and Alexis up front with Lukaku. And even though I said a Young should start, I think it should be I think it should be Perisic and Young on the either sides. I think I would like to preserve Hakimi, if you will, for the Juventus match because let's face it, Conte will still use Hakimi as a substitute. So yeah, that's there. So I think that's pretty much for our 11 on my end. Yeah.
Yeah, so with your 11 selected, let's go for the prediction now. Manish, you first. What do you think will be the score?
I'm going for a 3-1 win to Inter. Saying that Lukaku will definitely, he seems to be in a little angry mood after the Abramovich incident. You could see that with the 2 goals he scored, he did not celebrate much. And they asked, I think, who they asked, I think they asked Lautaro about Lukaku's mood. So they told as long as Lukaku scores goals, it doesn't really matter. So I think Lukaku is still irritated with what happened with Ibrahimovic, and that as long as positively contributes to us, I'm expecting Lukaku to get on the score sheet for us.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, to you, like, what do you
Yeah.
think will be the
Yeah.
score line?
Yeah, I mean, before I just get into, I think the prediction, I mean, I would just like to point out a potential Fiorentina level 11, if you will, since
Yeah,
they don't have Castrovilli, they don't have Milenkovic. Of course, their keeper will be Dragovski, and I remember he's made a lot of saves against us. Without Milenkovic, it's going to be a pretty average backline in the form of Igor Petzela and Martinez Cuarta. And of course, at left wing back, you have Biragi. Ex players tend to haunt us, and I think Castrovilli, being a creative player, will be replaced by none other than Borja Valero, of course, another ex-player. So you'll have quality players like Sofian Amrabat, Bonaventura, former AC Milan players doing a fine job, and at right wing back, I think there's going to be Venuti, and up front is the biggest threat, Vlahovic, as Manish said. He's scoring for fun right now, consecutive games, and there's of course Frank Ribery. So 3-5-2 for them, and coming to a prediction, I think it's going to be either 2-1 or 3-1 to us. Yeah, that's my prediction.
yeah, I'm thinking 3-1, but let me take a punt and say 5-1. I mean, we'll just go crazy because I think they are missing their main defender, and I think Lukaku will roll over their defense and score a brace. And I am also predicting another Ericsson beauty free kick or a banger from outside the box. So
Surely hope you can be right though about that. Hopefully
yeah,
it goes. I
5-1
mean,
is
a thrashing would do wonders for our morale though. Yeah.
No, but one thing is that whenever we trash a team, the next match we never seem to win. If you notice the last 3 or 4 years, whenever we beat somebody 5-0 or 5-1 in the Europa League, you saw what happened. It's like we are jinxed in that. We can never trash somebody and next game win. So
then I
that's
will
why I'm
change my thing to a very tough 2-1 win.
it's fine. Like I'm
Another
just saying
Ericsson
the inter
90th minute.
pattern.
Yeah, like let us break that thing at least.
Yes, yes. And coming back to Parmesh, you pointed out something. I actually messed out my formation. I told like Arthur Vidal to start, but I didn't put him in the lineup. So, and the midfield is going to be Arthur Vidal. And now thinking of it, Ericsson and Barella. Brozovic might get a rest because Barella is somebody Conti will never rest no matter what. He's going to play no matter he gets the maximum number of knocks. So, but I hope this time he rests Barella for the sake of it.
Yeah, I am thinking he'll rest Barella and it'll be Vidal, Eriksson, and Brozovic, yeah, in the midfield. I don't think he'll
But
start
who will play the
Barella.
register role, Gautam, in that? Because will Brozovic play register or Ericsson? I don't think Ericsson can play any other role as of now. So what do you think on that?
If it's those two, I think he will try out Eriksson. He'll make Brozovic a little bit forward because I
Yeah,
don't think
that's what I'm
because
thinking.
Eriksson has been tried and tested everywhere, and this is the role now which he's enjoying, and he is doing really well. So changing again to some other position will just, I don't know, affect his morale again. I feel like, what do you think, Parmeshwar? Like changing Eriksson's position now, does it matter, or do you think it's affecting his morale?
I think Ericsson is someone, you need to go with the same flow you have begun. So I think since Manish and you have said, it has to be the regista role. I know it sounds strange because if you also notice that Brozovic is someone who does better in a more contained role in his usual role as well. If you put him somewhere out of position or in a new role, he struggles. And that happened with the 3-4-1-2. He was completely lost in the earlier part of the season. It is a dilemma. Maybe Conte plays on Eriksson's confidence and still puts him in a more free role and still puts Brozovic in a register role, because unlike earlier times, Eriksson was not confident. You could see the body language. I remember Manish used to point it out all the time, his body language, and his confidence was always an issue. But right now he seems to be a bit happy, as you said, Gautam, those 2 games have really changed it for him, 3 games, sorry. He really seems to be enjoying his football and he's pressing with more intent. That's exactly what Conte wants him to do. So I think if you put him in a more free role, I don't think it's going to be harmful. So I think he should put Eriksson in a more free role and Brozovic in his usual role because Brozovic out of position struggles way more, I feel. Yeah.
But another crazy idea, do you think they should swap positions of Perisic and Sanchez and play
Mm,
Perisic up front? Because he has tried that this year.
Yeah, but now we have Lukaku and we have Martinez, two of our main strikers. Now bringing Perisic, I don't know what to add. You talking about the Fiorentina match or are you talking
Fiorentina
about
match.
the
If
Juventus?
if Martinez is rested and Sanchez is starting, Sanchez, as we know, like has no confidence in front of goal. So put him on the wings and put Perisic up front and see if it
Perisic
works
is
out.
last option, I think.
Yeah, and you can swap
Perisic.
anytime, right? Since both are on the pitch.
Correct. No, Conte is not the guy who likes to swap players. He's pretty much rigid on that. And pointing on what Parmeshwar said, like Ericsson to give much more freedom, I think Conte detests that. We seen that a lot of times. So he's been vocal about it. He used to always scream, "Ericsson, get back, don't go forward." Because Ericsson at times forgets he has to play a defensive role for it. He always pushes them forward. So pretty much Conte, that tactical freedom is not there. You might see in Juventus, like we pointed out previously, like Chisa to play one game as a left wing back, one game to play as a right wing back. That freedom is there. But with Conte, it's not the case. Pretty much, it's I think last situation when we had no other strikers available, Perisic should play up front. But other than that, he's going to, and I don't think he has done a bad job, Perisic. I won't say great job, but he hasn't done bad as well. So being left wing back is what we require right now. That is exactly a weakest link right now in the team. So Ashley Young is completely no confidence in that. I think you should put more Darman in the left wing and give Ashley Young a rest. So yeah, I think Pinamonti has to get chance sooner or later because we need a strong target man. But it's again a very confusing situation. But with Conti, it's pretty much black or white. It's nothing in between.
Yeah. So with contest tactics and Fiorentina's position, we are predicting 3-1 over here on average. Let's not go 5-1 after Manish pointed out our jinx. No 5-1, so let's say 3-1. So there you have it, folks. That was another episode of Solo Inter podcast, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.